Welcome everyone to episode 4 of the Weekly Wrap. I'm Sean. We took last week off, so we have a lot to cover this week. So let's get into it. First up, news. That's right, we have some video game news for you. First up from Nintendo, the SNES Classic released, and it did really well. We had a lot of consoles selling out everywhere, but they did have enough supply, for the most part. Some people who pre-ordered the console actually weren't able to get it because things like the Amazon Treasure Truck were giving them out instead. Next up, the new Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer released, and a lot of fans were happy with it. It wasn't exactly what they'd hoped for. They were hoping for a sequel, but it's more like a prequel. So there's a lot of Easter eggs that nod to things from the original Red Dead Redemption. So definitely check that trailer out. We'll have a link in the description below. Next up, Shadow of War released this week. That's right, the sequel to Shadow of Mordor. Ben Mills bought it, and from what I hear, he's really enjoying it. We will be trying to set up a special Game Corner episode where Ben and I will talk about the game, show you some clips, and Ben will give his overall rating of Shadow of War. So look forward to that coming in the future. Next up, we have some movie news. Star Wars Episode 8. A brand new trailer and poster were released this week. And like I predicted, tickets went on sale Monday. I got mine for the Opry Mills IMAX in Nashville, and I am super pumped. It's going to be great. I'm going to be sitting in row H, seat 16. I can't even tell you how excited I am for this movie. I've not watched the new trailer. The director, Rian Johnson, said himself, it's got spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, don't watch the trailer. But it is pretty fantastic. So, I will have a link down in the description below if you want to see the trailer, but if you want to hold off, which I recommend you do, here's the poster for you. Now we have to talk about Pokemon the movie I Choose You. This was a movie only released in Japan, and a lot of fans were hoping that it would come to America, and it is. On November 5th and 6th, we will be getting a special Fathom event of Pokemon the movie I Choose You. I'm really excited for this. Growing up, I watched a lot of Pokemon. Haven't so much followed it these days, but I'm really excited to see what they do with it. Alright, we have a lot of TVs to review. And one that I forgot from the last episode. Fuller House Season 3 premiered on Netflix, but unfortunately it's only Part 1. That's right, 9 out of the 18 episodes of Season 3 aired on Netflix. I didn't even realize it was going to be split into parts, and I was really upset with the ending until I discovered it was a Part 1-2 situation. Now, this show is nothing great. It's a lot of fun, it has some nostalgia from the originals, but it's just a good, wholesome family show, so definitely check it out. And we have to talk about the newest Marvel show, Inhumans. That's right, this show has not been getting a lot of great reviews. It's one of the worst rated Marvel flicks, and I can see why. See, episode 1 and 2, it premiered in theaters. Many fans went and saw it, paid the $30 IMAX ticket to go see it, and were disappointed. And why? Because episode 1 and 2 do not air like a movie. It is a distinct 1 previously on 2. Why they decided to do that and release it in theaters is beyond me. And it's honestly just as good and mediocre as season 1 and 2 of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's nothing too grand about it, nothing too great. It's just okay. I do have a feeling that this will go down as Marvel's worst property that they've released on TV or film yet. Episode 3 aired this past week, and it was okay. We saw some good fight scenes. We saw some more Inhumans from Atlanta, but it was okay. Nothing too great. Also releasing this week, we had Marvel's Gifted on Fox. That's right, an expansion of the X-Men universe. We've seen episode 1 and 2 by now, and honestly, I'm really digging this show. It's just a nice expansion of the universe. We see this perspective of this lawyer who basically incarcerates mutants, and his family who he discovers are mutants. They join the mutant underground and try to escape the Sentinel program, but things go wrong. It's a lot of fun. I definitely think you should check this one out. Now, a lot of the CW shows, they came back this week. And first one, Supergirl. Now, Supergirl's not been one of those shows that I've been too crazy about. I definitely love the fact that it's trying to have this woman empowerment, but to me, it takes it to so much of an extreme that it cuts men out of the situation completely. And that's not what the comics do. You have a nice balance, but still showing how the women can be empowered. And in episode 1 of this season, we just see a whiny Supergirl. Yes, okay, Mon-El's gone. She's heartbroken, but she has a job to do. She can't just quit everything. As much as some people want to, that's not how it works. And she has a bigger responsibility. And saying that she has a bigger responsibility as Supergirl than Kara, I'm sorry. Season 3, episode 1 just didn't do it for me. And if this is how it's gonna go, ouch. Alright, so next we've got to talk about The Good Doctor. The Good Doctor is probably my favorite show this season. But we had episodes 2 and 3 this past week. First off was Sarcasm and Lies, where Sean tries to learn about what's the difference between a sarcasm and a lie. Aren't they just the same? But ultimately we see Sean save a life, and he may have saved 2 lives. In the most recent episode we see Claire and Sean. They're going off doing more scut work. They've got to get an organ, bring it back for an organ transplant. Claire knows this guy personally and really is excited to see him get this organ. But unfortunately, he gets removed from the list, so he doesn't get the organ. And all of the work that Sean and Claire did to bring the organ back is for naught, and she's heartbroken. But Sean says a nice little note at the end. We saved a life today, even if it wasn't the one we planned. And it makes Claire see things in a new perspective. It's not about the fame, not about the fortune. It's about what did we do. I love this show, and I definitely think if you haven't checked out The Good Doctor, you should check it out. We also have to talk about This Is Us, my second favorite show this season. In episode 2, we see a heartfelt moment between Kate and her mother, where she is trying to become a singer and she kind of feels like her mom isn't approving of her. We see Kevin overcome his pride, and we see Randall realize his fear of having another child, adopting a child. Also, Jack admits his faults to his family, lets them know, hey, I'm a drunk, but I want to be better. It was a great moment. In the most recent episode, we see Jack and Rebecca, they try to revitalize their marriage. It doesn't go as planned, but ultimately they do reconnect, and I'm so glad that Jack and Rebecca are still strong. We also see Randall struggling with the foster child. He doesn't quite understand. He's read a lot of books and he thinks he knows what to do, but the child is misunderstood and he doesn't know how to help. Kevin, he learns more about himself through a movie that he's shooting with Sylvester Stallone, and Sylvester Stallone gives him a nice little speech about how you don't ever forget your memories. The ones that mean the most to you are the ones you remember. And through this, Kevin starts remembering his dad and realizing that he's got a lot of problems as far as his dad passing away. Kevin struggles to realize what it means, and by the end of the episode, we kind of see that maybe he is his father's son. Also premiering on Tuesday was The Flash. That's right, we got The Flash again, and Barry Allen is reborn, pun intended. Now, here's the question. He came back in episode 1. Is that too soon? Personally, I think so. I mean, Barry left at the end of last season. It was a heartbreaking moment. We see that some time has passed and, the Kid Flash team has done their thing to protect the city, but now they've got to bring him back. For us, it feels too soon. For them, it may not, because some time has passed, but we haven't seen that time pass. I think we should have saw a little bit of that to know just how we wanted to see Barry come back. We also see that the new villain this year is the Thinker, and I must say he looks pretty menacing. So while I wasn't too thrilled with episode 1 of this season of Flash, I do think that it's a good start and could potentially lead to one of their best seasons yet. We also get the return of Legends of Tomorrow. That's right, season 3 of Legends. And my question is, why? In this episode, we start off with some dinos in our current time, and we end up seeing that Rip has created a new time agency to fix everything, and he disbands the Legends. Ultimately, the Legends are of course drugged back into the fold, and they try to make things better, but ultimately they screw things up again. The Legends is a fun show, it has a good idea, but I think the Legends is more of a fun crossover event versus an actual series. I'm gonna see where this season goes, but you might want to skip Legends. We also have 2 episodes of Designated Survivor to talk about. They stopped the bad guy. The guy who had the the whole conspiracy of taking down the Capitol is dead, maybe? We're not entirely sure. We're safe for now, but is there a bigger conspiracy at work? That's the question that episode 2 left us with. And then Wednesday's episode, a viral infection, an outbreak, an epidemic. That's right. Down in Louisiana, this virus breaks out, and the president has to figure out how to avert the crisis. Agent Wells, she's on a mission to figure out how maybe the First Lady's mother plays into the conspiracy. Season 2's not off to a great start. Honestly, the fall season isn't boding too well. Only a few episodes are actually matching up to my expectations. So we'll see where Designated Survivor goes, but it's honestly kind of flopping right now. Now we have to talk about last week's The Orville. In this episode, we see Charlize Theron playing Priya. Yes, that's right, another big name actor in this show. I don't know how. She plays this kind of ancient relic dealer from the future, and it's interesting. It's a cool concept, I guess. We also get a lot more of the divorce banter, which honestly is just dragging on at this point. We get it. They divorced. It's a sucky marriage. Move on. Like, it was interesting to see that for the first few episodes. Maybe drop a one-liner here and there, but the whole show is just shoving that in our face. We also see that the Orville was supposed to die, but Charlize Theron's character Priya saved it to take it into the future. So now they've altered the timeline. Wish they wouldn't have, but we'll see what that means for the future of the show. Next, we have the newest episode of Gotham from last week, where we see Jim go to Florida. He tries to get Carmine Falcone to come back to Gotham, but unfortunately, he's dying, and his daughter wants to take up the reins, but he says no. In the end, we see that she does come back to Gotham, and that she does try to take the reins and take back the crime underground. We see that Bruce learns there are many masks to being Bruce Wayne, to being this vigilante that he's trying to be. And ultimately, we see a dagger of Ra's al Ghul come into the fold. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, and I really hope that we get more of the Alfred Bruce training sessions, because those are some of my favorite scenes. And finally, The Good Place. That's right, the sitcom that I honestly am loving this season. Season 2 of The Good Place has had its crazy start. We've seen that Michael is failing to get them tortured, and that they're realizing they're in hell. So what's Michael decide to do now that he's trying to be overthrown within this place? He decides to join them. Basically, make all of the demons think that the humans are being tortured, but really they're on the side with Michael and they know everything that's happening. They plan it out and they just act. It's going to be interesting seeing how this plays out, but their ultimate goal is now to all get to the real good place. Even Michael. So we'll see how that plays out. It's going to be interesting for sure. Now, as mentioned in the last episode, we were going to have the fall movie preview in this episode, but because we had to take a week off because it was my birthday last week, we decided to break it up into 2 episodes. 2 weeks of TV reviews and an episode of our fall movie preview. So, if you're interested in that, we will have a link to that at the end of this video. But what's coming next week? Well, of course, next week we're going to be covering all of the relevant news, as well as some of the final fall TV premieres. We have Arrow, Supernatural, and a couple others, I believe, coming back this week. So, look forward to that. Also, we're going to be changing our review schedule up a bit. Instead of reviewing everything that comes out between Friday and Thursday night, we're going to be adjusting it from Thursday night to Wednesday night, with the episode still releasing on Friday. My schedule has become a little hectic, and honestly, I'm not able to watch all of the shows that premiere on Thursday because of it. So those will be reviewed in next week's episode. So look forward to that change. Also, next week's feature is going to be a in-depth talk about AMC's The Walking Dead. The return of that airs a week from this Sunday, and I'm super excited for this next season to see what happens with the Negan-Rick feud. So, look forward to that episode next week. I want to thank you all for joining me this week, and if you haven't subscribed to the Weekly Wrap, which you definitely should, you can click this circular channel icon here. And if you want to see our fall movie preview, you can click this playlist here. Thanks for joining.